When you think about car racing, you will probably think about Formula 1. You should be familiar with the appearance of an F1 car. But have you ever wondered why is it shaped like this? The result of this approach comes from the chassis. Chassis are the backbone of any car, which give the car the shape, strength, and rigidity. There are two types of chassis for the design of a Formula car. The one used in Formula 1 are monocoque, but the type that we use are space frame. Space frame structures are made out of load-bearing struts that are welded together to form a passive safety mechanism. The struts of the space frame are always in tension or compression but never bending forces. This method of construction is new to the Nayang Venture team. We have untethered 3D printed or carbon fiber, but these monocoques do not fulfill the stringent requirement on composite materials in FSAE cars.
Some important rules include tubes triangulation and protection purpose templates has to be followed strictly. Rephrasing for clarity, all nodes must be supported by two force members. In addition to adhering to the FSAE rulebook, the chassis must fit, protect, and support all other components, including but not limited to wrapping the battery in a high voltage envelope and providing support nodes to mount the suspension devices and aerodynamic surfaces. At this stage, you have an iteration of the chassis design. To ensure that the chassis is at functional strength, finite element analysis is performed, emulating real cases of force loading that the vehicle would experience while in motion. There are torsional rigidity tests, static tests, braking, acceleration, cornering, front impact, and cruising. The design is now completed, and one question becomes the focus of the project. How do we get from straight raw material into an assembled chassis?
Just now, the problem is like we didn't have some miscommunication. They didn't aware of like we have different tubes, so they just mingle it up together. So some is like A combined with B, which is cannot be cutting in within one tube. So we have to rearrange things.
不要说1、4、1、3，我们就数字很多的话就很乱。然后做事我会按照我的方法来做，但是 follow 是 follow 你的这个 sequence 啊什么，我会 follow 它的图。大概没事。
当然，你就 convert 成你的方法，然后再把你的方法交给我们，然后我们的方法来。
明白，大概就是这样一个过程。
这个要长一点。
对，这个我知道。
现在手例是 A 有4个
，4个已经超过很多了，够了。够了，我要重新 nest，因为这有3个尺寸的话，我要拿出来。
好，可以。
First, we have to cut the tubes precisely. The team is working hard at creating a support system for the cut tubes, starting with the design. This support system is called a jig, and it can secure the tubes firmly in position in a 3D space. This jig was produced with plywood, a low-cost material that can be cut at low cost and easily disposed of once used. So what happened here is by design this one to here should be about 900. Right? So if you add half an inch to the measurement, so it should be about 912 about here, right? So if you see this by design, our tubing should end here. But because of the machine limitations of the bending machine, then they couldn't cut the tubes for us after they bend the tubes. So we needed to figure out how much we need to cut by ourselves and how much we needed to notch and the positions of them. So just now we took the base tube out, and then by figuring out how these tubes wrap around each other, we should be able to determine the amount of length that we need to cut off on both sides. With the tubes cut and assembled into the jig, the chassis is now ready for tack welding. The chassis construction is now only needs the finishing touch. The strength bearing structure is now ready to take on some load. Wheels on the ground.
Why? How can you be so chill when you like?
So I was like, can I hug you?
Just do it up.
We're supposed to be a team.
Oh my god, I'm so happy you can carry it. Seriously, I cannot fuck up already. I really